What's happening, Trips? Today I wanted to talk about the Resident Evil movies. Whoa. I wanted to talk about the animated movies. Okay, that's better, thank you. So last year at one point I watched all the animated movies in my bed with my fake VR on. It was awesome. A couple of nights ago, I stumbled upon a new Resident Evil animated movie. I think it came out a couple of months ago. It's called Resident Evil Death Island. Watched it last night. It was really good. I might be a bit biased because I've seen all the other animated movies and I like Resident Evil as a whole. I like the cheesy dialogue and the over-the-top action scenes. You can't go wrong with that kind of stuff. So today I just wanted to give a really quick breakdown of the movie and tell you why I liked it so much. So, it starts off like most of the Resident Evil movies. We're in the back of a SWAT van and we're following a team of Umbrella soldiers. There's two soldiers we focus on, JJ and Dylan Blake. So they're in the van, they've got all these machine guns and gear, and JJ and Dylan are saying to each other, "Yo man, why do you think we've got all this equipment? It seems a bit over the top." And then the commander butts in and says, "We're only here to save Umbrella executives and government officials, no civilians." Then JJ's all like, "But what if the civilians run at us?" Fire at will. So yeah, that's Umbrella for you. They're actually going to Raccoon City, so I think this is pre-everything in the timeline. So they get to Raccoon City and it's a shit show as soon as they arrive. There's officials blasting through the barricade and everything. So we cut to the next scene. All their team has been bitten and infected except JJ and Dylan. It just so happens that they've come to like, I don't know if it's like a butcher shop or something, but all the infected are in like a freezer kind of room, fridge room. And JJ gets on the radio and asks, "Bro, we need evac." But he gets told no, there's no infected allowed. And he's like, "What?" And then they basically tell him, "Kill your team and then you can get out." Well, he's told to quarantine them first. And Dylan's like, "Oh man, that's our team. You can't quarantine them." Even though they're quite obviously turning into zombies. Then they get the call to terminate anybody that's been bitten or infected. JJ's get his gun up and Dylan's like, "No, you can't kill them. It's our team." Even though again, they are quite clearly zombies. So then JJ starts firing and Dylan falls to the ground and he's like, "Stop it! Stop it!" Boom, cue title card, Resident Evil Death Island. Let's go. Now we cut to one of the main men in the franchise, someone you're going to be real happy to see, Leon. Now, Leon has so many good one-liners in this film. It's amazing what they've done with Leon. So basically he's out looking for this guy called Anthony Taylor. I think he's defected and he's an expert in biorobotics, small things. So we get a crazy good bike chase, Leon's on his bike, and then we get a returning character from the previous movies, Maria Gomez. And then we get, like I say, an over-the-top action scene, but it's amazing. And of course, Leon drops is one of his famous one-liners.
I loved that bike.
Ultimately though, Anthony gets away, but that's not going to matter because we're going to get him later. Now we're with Claire. Return of Claire Redfield. She works for TerraSave, so that's why she's here on the beach, and we're checking out this orca whale that's been beached here. She gets down, she's checking it out and everything. The guy is standing here and he's like, "What do you think could have done this? A shark?" But Claire knows that orcas are above the food chain, above sharks in the food chain, so she's like, "No, it couldn't have been a shark, but the bite is so big." Plot intensifies. Now I will say before we go any further, the plot isn't that deep. The main villain is pretty weak and a lot of the dialogue is super cheesy, but you'd expect that from Resident Evil, but it didn't take away from my experience of the movie because I went in expecting that kind of stuff. Now we catch up with Jill. It's been a long time since we've seen her. In the last movies, she was under mind control by Wesker, but I'm not going to go deep into that. So basically now she's free from the mind control, but she's being really reckless because she wants to make up and amend for everything that happened when she was under Wesker's mind control. So she's barging into this building, even though she's been told to wait for her team. Jill doesn't need help anyway. We all know Jill's a badass, so she barges in regardless and takes care of the zombies that we see here, and another crazy action scene ensues. And man, I just got to say, Jill's flashlight dance routine is amazing. So finally, the rest of the team arrive and in comes our favourite boulder punching hero, Chris Redfield. Come on! And he confronts Jill about being so reckless, but ultimately he can't really do anything about it because, I mean, Chris is reckless himself, so. Now we have the return of another really good character, Queen Vax herself, Rebecca Chambers. She and Chris have found out there's a new strain of the T-virus on the loose, but it's different, this strain. It's not airborne. If you're bitten by a zombie, you're not infected, and all of the victims have needle marks on their arms, so it's like, what's going on here? What's the point in this virus? We'll find out soon. So Rebecca and Chris discuss Jill a bit, the current situation, and Rebecca scolds Chris for being so hard on her because, like I said earlier, Chris is just as reckless and has been throughout much of the whole series and the games. But Chris basically says to Rebecca that no one blames Jill for what happened, you know, it was out of her control. But then Rebecca says, yeah, but Jill still blames herself. Which then makes a lot of sense because in the next scene, Chris goes to confront Jill and she's super blunt with him and very short. She just seems like she's getting, I don't know, Chris is like trying to lift their spirits and stuff, and Jill is just shutting them straight down, and it was kind of sad to see because I wanted these two characters to, like, you know, be friends and stuff. It is just the start of the movie, and by the end they are all friends. But yeah, this kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I was like, come on Jill, man, Chris is just trying to help you out here. But still, it was good character development. So, and it's not like Chris hasn't been through some shit, you know. Chris has lost like every partner he's ever had, so yeah. Okay, main villain time. You should know who this guy is because he's the spitting image of the same guy we saw in the beginning, is Dylan. This villain is pretty weak, not gonna lie. It's probably the weakest villain out of all the movies. The reasoning is so not there. The dude's crazy and he's got a death wish, but hey, this is who we get for this movie. So at this point, Claire calls in Jill and Chris to discuss the orca that they found on the beach, because this orca is from a certain area around Alcatraz prison that's protected waters. However, the orca with a big bite mark in it is found to have the new T-virus strain in it. How did that happen? So we're gonna go and investigate. But before they do that, they find out all of the people that have been infected, all the zombies have one thing in common. They have also all visited Alcatraz Island. Cue Chris in civilian gear and everybody else. It just looks so cool. Chris with his shirt on. They're going to Alcatraz and we're going to sort out this issue. Queen Vax Rebecca phones up Chris and she's all like, yo, this virus is similar to the ones before. I'm going to whip up a Vax. And I was like, alright, well if you can do that Rebecca, you go for it. We're probably going to need it. So she is a whiz scientist. Now we see a bit of foreshadowing for later. So maybe sharks can attack orcas. It's not the first time we've seen zombie sharks. So in the last scene when Dylan was doing his mad Russian roulette, there was a scientist there, but he's now escaped. And I don't blame him because Russian roulette doesn't seem like good fun to me. Although Dylan does now see that on the security cameras his main guests have arrived. That being Jill, Chris and Claire. So he lets loose his new bioweapons on the prison and shit goes south real fast, let me tell you that. But it doesn't matter because we've got Chris, Jill and Claire here and they're blasting folk left, right and centre. The weird thing is though, and they notice it as well, is that because the virus isn't airborne, how are people getting infected, you know? And they can't be biting each other and infecting them. So yeah, it's a bit, what's going on here? How's this all happening? It does add a bit of mystery to it, which is pretty good. But yeah, we get a crazy action scene here and the dispatch of all the zombies. All of a sudden, the floor just gives away, Jill falls down and they're split up. And at this point, Dylan releases more bioweapons. Amphibious liquors. What next? After he releases those things, he goes on like another crazy monologue and does more Russian roulette with himself. But then we see a flashback. JJ has been bitten because Dylan did nothing to help him, and now they're getting he basically radio calls again and says, we need evac again, except my friend's been bitten, oh, and then the umbrella guys call back and says, no, you need to kill everybody that's been bitten. And then this dude all of a sudden just picks up the gun against his best friend. What? I mean, why not just have killed the other guys in the beginning? And your friend wouldn't have been infected. This Dylan guy is the worst, not the worst, is the weakest part of the movie, man. His reasoning is so gone, I just wanted this guy to die. So Claire and Chris try contacting Jill, but comms are down, they're being locked. But that doesn't matter, because now Jill is deep down in the sewers, but she's not alone. She's creeping around, she hears something in the distance, she's up against the wall, she's got her knife out and that. She lost her gun before, so she's got her knife out now. She's going up and then boom, it's her boy Leon! They have a bit of a fight scene together first, but then they realise who it is. And just every scene Leon is in this movie is brilliant. He's got so many good lines in this, I couldn't tell you them all, but yeah, really good. They converse a little bit and they discuss what's going on. Leon says he's here for Anthony, the guy he was searching for in the beginning, and Jill mentions about how there's new bioweapons being made here and they realise that their cases are linked. But the piece is short-lived because they're now going to be attacked by all the amphibious lickers, Leon's best friends. So another crazy action scene happens here, it's really good, and at one point Jill says to Leon, "How many do you think there are?" And Leon's like, "I ain't stopping to count them." And then they reach the end of the tunnel in the sewers and Leon pushes Jill out the way. He kicks up like a petrol canister and then shoots it in the air and it explodes and kills all the lickers. And he turns around and says, "Zero." As if there's none of them because he killed them all. Yeah, it's cheesy schlock, but man is it good to watch. Okay, so we're back with Chris and Claire and they hear some noises coming from like a small metal cabinet. They go and open it up and they find this dude inside. They're like, "Man, who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm Tony Davis," which is sus because he doesn't answer right away. So you're like, this is definitely a fake name this guy's given. It's not super important right now though. Chris and Claire give a bit of their background and then the dude tries to run away. And when he runs away, Claire and Chris come after him and save him. And then he's like, "Oh, why did you save me?" And they basically say, "Look, we protect and save people. If you're a good guy or a bad guy, we're still going to try and help you." Which is great because that is what these heroes stand for, you know, protecting and saving people. So Leon and Jill find a secret way into the prison underneath and they break into what looks like an incubation bay where there's even more new bioweapons. They progress and then find an armory. It's full of these like hundreds of crazy weapons underneath the prison. This is going to be important later. Now we're in the view of one of the new bioweapons. It looks like a wee flying thing, a drone of sorts. It flies in, boom, Claire's taken down. Boom, Chris is taken down, both infected. So now Jill and Leon find the control room where Dylan has been working everything from and they see the bio drones. At this point, Dylan interjects over the radio and he's saying, "Ah, it's good to see you." And Leon, with his infinite wisdom and one-liners, he's talking about, "Oh, yeah, great to see whoever you are too." It's so funny. But Dylan basically says, "I have Claire and Chris come to meet me. I'm not coming to you." So what they're going to do, they're going to have to go meet him and he's on the ground floor of the prison. So they go and meet him. At this point, Queen Vax has got her vaccines ready and she's coming to the prison to help everybody. She doesn't know anyone's infected yet, but she's bringing vaccines anyway, because that's what Rebecca does. Jill and Leon come to the prison and they find Claire and Chris in real bad shape. Things aren't looking too great. However, as soon as Leon sees Tony Davis, he realizes that that's not Tony Davis, that's Anthony Taylor, the guy that made the bioweapons. That's who I'm looking for. So yeah, big twist. I knew he was sus. At this point, Leon gets infected as well by the little drone, but Jill is left uninfected. Dylan goes on another massive monologue about how, "Oh, I'm hurting and you need to feel the pain that I have felt, blah blah blah," and it gives another flashback about him and JJ. Basically, when he's told to kill JJ, he fires the gun but there's no ammo in it, so then he knocks JJ down to the ground and crushes his skull with a metal box. Bro, you wouldn't kill zombies previously, but you're quite happy crushing the skull of your best friend who hasn't turned into a zombie yet. You're messed up, bro. Your logic is fucked and you're not a good character. So yeah, this guy is just so stupid. Anyways, he leaves Jill uninfected so that she can experience the pain he went through by having to kill his best friend, which was his own fault all along. But let's not focus on Dylan. So Rebecca's on her way to the island. She's almost there and we finally get some Jaws action. It totally destroys her and all of her team, but she makes it inside, which is cool. Okay, Maria goes to attack Jill, but Leon, with whatever little energy he's got left, pulls out a flash grenade and throws it so Jill can escape. Just before this happens as well, Dylan shoots Anthony Taylor because Dylan wanted Jill to shoot Anthony because they were in the same cell as Claire, and if Claire turned, she would kill Anthony, which was another innocent life that would be lost. So further enhancing Dylan's plan to make Jill suffer. However, Jill doesn't do this and she escapes. Anthony is shot, but before he dies, he opens up a wee pen and he gives Claire the overwrite codes for the drones so that they can actually stop this whole thing from happening. Because again, Dylan's just another villain that wants to kill all the world, and he thinks by doing that he's going to save it, which is just messed up logic. So, not going to happen. They now have the codes, let's go. Okay, Dylan goes away at this point, and he activates his plan, he sets everything into motion, and he picks up a vial of his virus. And one of those guns you always see in Resident Evil, one of those virus guns, you know. So he picks that up and walks down. He tells Maria to open up the floodgates. So, thinking, what is going on here? What is this guy planning? At this point, underneath, Rebecca meets Jill in the sewers. Jill get away to destroy the incubation chambers and try and stop the launch before it happens. But down on the way there, she meets Rebecca. Rebecca has the cure. Jill tells Rebecca where to go, get up to the prison and cure everybody. Rebecca gets up there pretty fast, cures everyone pronto, fast-acting vaccine, which is great. Leon's cure works fastest because he's been infected the least amount of time. He gets up and he goes straight for the control room to see what he can do to prevent all of this from happening. But as soon as he gets there, Maria's there waiting for him. And again, another really good fight scene, hand-to-hand, guns and knives between him and Maria. It ends with her dying, but yeah, Leon's get his one-liners and it is a great fight scene. All the action scenes in this are really, really well choreographed and well done all round. So yeah, I really enjoyed this fight. Everybody comes together now, all down in the armory where they were before. There's a shot of them all together. They're all standing. Claire, Chris, Leon, Jill and Rebecca. It's so awesome. And to see them all cooperating and working with each other. If you've seen any of the other Resident Evil movies, you'll know that Chris and Leon don't always see eye to eye. I'm sure in like one of the last movies they were ready to kill each other at some points. Leon is almost given up on his job and everything. So in this movie, to see them all working together in this action scene at the end is amazing. So basically Dylan injects himself with this gun that he's holding. He falls into the water and the shark eats him. Once the shark eats him, it mutates into this giant bio-weapon terror thing. Oh, it's so cool. I will say as well, the CG is done really well in this movie. Some parts not so good as others, but yeah, CG overall I think is fantastic. It really seals what it is. But yeah, at the end here, they're all using weapons they've used in the game. So Chris has got the 4-barrel rocket launcher at one point. They're shooting big guns. Chris is one-handed a giant machine gun. And then Jill pulls out the plasma cannon. The one, I've never played Resident Evil 3 Remake. I have played the original Resident Evil 3 multiple times. Anyways, Jill pulls out the plasma cannon. Everybody's like, where did you get that from? It's crazy! And she's charging it up, right? One of the things I saw people complain about the Resident Evil 3 Remake was, how can Jill even carry that thing? How big it is? In the movie, she's got it sitting on something. So yeah, I reckon they heard everybody's complaints. But Jill gets 2 shots out of this big gun, blasts it and blows the thing to pieces, man. After it's been blasted, it doesn't quite die yet. It falls down into the water. And at this point, Claire and Rebecca are up in the control room using the deactivation codes to stop the drones from flying out. And Rebecca suggests, what if we use the drones ourselves? And as soon as I heard that, I was all like, what are you thinking, Rebecca? Like, this is an evil bioweapon, you can't do this. And Claire agrees with her. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? But then I realised that they were using the bioweapons on Dylan in his big transformed form. So they take him down with his own weapon in the end, which is very poetic. And then they're all sitting together at the end. and they talk about how they're going to do more in the future. So would I recommend watching this movie? If you've seen the other Resident Evil movies, and if you're a fan of Resident Evil in general, I would say yes, watch it. You'll enjoy it a lot more if you've seen the other movies first. If you're not a fan of Resident Evil, I wouldn't say watch the movie. It's kind of weak if you don't know everything about it beforehand. But yeah, I watched this last night, had a great time watching it. There were so many parts that I was like sitting just like clapping and laughing because I was so happy. It really is great for fan service, this movie. This review isn't really a review. It's been a bit all over the place. So I hope that if you've stayed to the end, you've enjoyed it. I would like to do more stuff like this. This is the first time I've ever written a script for something, and I didn't even really follow my script. But yeah, if you guys would like to see more stuff like this, just let me know. But yeah, if you're a fan of Resident Evil, I would say go and check this movie out. You won't be disappointed. But that's going to do it for me for now, everybody. Thank you very, very much for joining me if you did. If you don't mind hitting that like button, maybe even subscribing, I'm getting closer and closer to that 500 subs every single day. So yeah, your support means a lot. Thank you very, very much. Take care, and I'll hopefully see you all again soon, guys. Bye.